All right. I think I got actually everything working, which is really weird. Hey, welcome to my shop. I'm Jeff. This is JR's Workshop, and I stream here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, United States, if you're watching from somewhere else. I put this out on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. So if you're into one of those platforms rather than maybe the one you're watching on right now, twitch.tv/JR's Woodshop, all one word there. If you want to go to Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/JR's Woodshop. Takes you there. And on YouTube, it's just youtube.com/Jeff Revell, all like together. But if you type Jeff Revell, Revell, you'll find me. So those are your three ways of watching. If you prefer to watch on a different platform than you're on right now, obviously, if you're listening to this, you're watching. So you're watching somewhere. But if you like to watch somewhere else, if you prefer to watch somewhere else, you can do that. I don't think... I think on Twitch, it'll set an alert if you follow me. You can set it up so it'll alert you when I'm live. And it will do the same on YouTube. If you hit the subscribe button and then you have to hit the bell notification kind of thing. And then it'll tell you when I'm actually broadcasting. I do not believe Facebook has a mechanism for doing that for live broadcasts. I could be wrong. I try not to spend too much time on Facebook. But, you know, it's a thing. So I tend to get a lot of engagement on Facebook. So I do stream there as well. So I try to cover all my bases, get everybody covered there. So whatever your favorite platform is, hopefully you can find me there. Today I'm brought to you by Norm's Rare Guitars on Ventura Boulevard in, I don't know where that is, Orange, California? I don't know. Anyway, Los Angeles, give or take. And I'm not brought to you by Norm's, but it is, if you're a guitar guy, and you're in California, in the Los Angeles area, you need to go check out Norman's Rare Guitars because it is the show. It is amazing. It is rare, vintage, beautiful, amazing stuff. And you can actually just go in and play them. It's so cool. And yeah, I went there, oh my gosh, I guess it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I went there for the last live NAMM show. Before pandemic times, I went there. NAMM is the National Association of Musical Merchants. So it's where all the, my glasses are filthy. It's where all the musical instrument companies, for the most part, go and show off their latest wares to like music stores and things like that, vendors and such. It used to be that was pretty much the only place you could go see this stuff. Now everything's online, everything else. The show's kind of taken some different SKUs and stuff, but it is an amazing show. It is huge. It is massive. And I was lucky enough for my buddy Scott Kelby to hook me up with a pass, and we went 1 year. And Scott's an amazing musician, in addition to being a Photoshop and photography guru. He's an amazing musician, and so he had some connections, got us tickets, and we went. You can't just go as a member of the general public. You have to have an association with a company or something that is related to the music business for the most part, or a band or something like that. But anyway, it was an amazing time. We had so much fun. And while we were there, we traveled up to Norm's and saw his stuff because we'd seen him. He's got a YouTube channel and it's really great. And lots of famous guitar players go in there and buy stuff and they'll make videos. But anyway, I digress. That's a whole different music thing. So, but I'm in a wood shop, so let's talk wood shoppy stuff, shall we? Today is Wednesday, the 21st of April. It's just flying by. And on Monday, I actually had a very boring episode on Monday. So if you watched on Monday, bless your soul. You are patient person. But what I did on Monday was I actually got a manual from a very kind individual who made a YouTube video building their 4x5 camera out of this kit. I did not have the manual. He was very kind enough to photograph it, send it to me. I printed it out, And then I was able to actually go through and assess all of the pieces that I had, because this camera that I've got had been sitting in this box for 25 or so years. I'm not sure exactly how long. A long time. Mid-20s, maybe 25 years, somewhere around there. And I didn't have all the pieces that I should have had. I'm not sure where they went to. And so I did a complete accounting of what I had and what I needed. You can see on the, oh, my camera's not on. What the heck? It was on earlier. Let me turn my camera back on. And sorry about that. Switched cameras and it was a dead view. There we go. So when I was going through the list, I kind of, there you go. I made a list of the pieces that I was missing, and I basically figured out, okay, and it's nice because the parts list gives you, it gives you dimensions. So in here, like on the second page, there's our third page, whatever it is. There are all the pieces for all the different sections, like the back holder, the lens holder, the ground glass holder, the camera back, all that stuff. Each one has a section. It tells you how many pieces of what dimensions you're supposed to have. So it was really kind of easy for me to start going through and figuring out what I did have, what I didn't have. I put everything in bags, divided by their section, so that I could kind of keep things separated. And after I was done, I came up with a list of 5, 10, 11 different pieces, but that wasn't, I mean, it was 11 different items that I was missing. Some of those items had like 6 of them, or 4 of them, or 2 of them that I needed of a particular size. So I went through my scrap bin, because this is actually all cherry. I was able to go through my scrap bin and I milled up, I didn't do this on camera. This was actually what I did after I live streamed on Monday. And I went through and I actually milled up a whole bunch of wood at 3/8 of an inch thick, which most of this is 3/8 thick. So I milled up a whole bunch of pieces and then started cutting things down and getting all of these pieces that I need to complete this build. Now, that being said, some of this stuff is going to need further work, because it has to have, some of them have have holes drilled in them. Some of them need actual slots for the bolts and stuff to travel through to make adjustments and such. So I still have to figure out how I'm going to do that. I haven't decided. I might just do that on the CNC machine if I can figure out an easy way to do that, because you want them to look clean and nice and not janky. And the ones that I did have that had slots were very well done, and I want them to kind of all match that aesthetic. So that's probably the next thing I'm going to do, is figure out what I actually need to make holes and slots in, but that's not for today. I also had to cut these down. I had 2 of these little things here. Let me show you. So I had 2 of these little things, kind of little L-shaped pieces of blocks of wood, which was weird because on the cut sheet, I think these came to the factory already glued like this. So it just said I needed 3/4 by 1 1/4 by 1 13/16, but it didn't actually say that it was 2 pieces glued together. I figured that out. So I actually cut these out to the sizes I needed. And yeah, so then I turned these into the little L-shaped blocks. So now I have 6 of these as well. And I need to put these back in the bag that they go into. So these are what they call the Monorail riders, which actually fit onto the Monorail, because this is a Monorail camera. So a Monorail camera, well, looks like this. So there's the lens in the front, the film goes in the back, and it all attaches to this single rod down here. Let me see if I can get you a better picture there. Whoop, right here. So it attaches to this, oh, sorry. Is that better? There we go. It attaches to this rod, and the rail at the bottom is where you slide things backwards and forwards, and that allows you to focus the camera and frame your picture and all that good stuff. Anyway, that's what I did after the stream. Is I went through all of my scrap cherry wood and got pieces that were suitable for making all these replacement pieces, which was nice. I didn't have to go buy any wood or anything else. Like I said, now I just have to figure out how to make these slots in there that will require a little bit of work. Drill holes in the appropriate places, things like that. So that's going to take a little while to sort that out. I'm not going to do that in the stream right now. That'll kind of be an off project. And then the other thing I need to do is some of the hardware I'm missing, so some carriage bolts and T-nuts and star knobs and such. And I was doing some research online to find some of those. I mean, I can get them, a lot of that I can get at like Home Depot or Lowe's. And if I can't find them there, I can usually order them online, Amazon or somewhere else. I'd like to find, for the carriage bolts, I'd like to find them in brass, but that might be pushing it. I'll have to look online to see. I didn't find them in brass at Amazon, but maybe like McMaster Car might have something like that. They don't have to be brass. They could be, you know, stainless steel or whatever, but the brass would look nice. And so that's my only thought with that. So I'm going to take this, it's my little book that I made notes in, and I'm going to set all this aside. And then we can talk about what we're going to do today. Don't need that open. All right, so what are we going to do today? So today, my son sent me a message yesterday, I think. Yesterday, maybe Monday, maybe yesterday. And his girlfriend is moving into a new apartment, and she needs a container to put her utensils in, like tall spoons and spatulas and things like that. And he says, hey, could you whip up something for her, you know, out of scrap wood or whatever? And because, you know, when you're a woodworker, that's what they do. They say, hey, you're a woodworker, you can make this, right? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But it's my son and it's his girlfriend, and she's really sweet. And I like her a lot, so I will see what I can do to make something up. So I was thinking about, what can I make? Obviously, I could get like I've got a log or something, and I could make a round container on my lathe, but that's a lot of work for a lathe my size. I usually do smaller projects on my lathe, little bowls and such. I don't normally do, that would be more like a vase. And I don't normally do, my brother does some amazing vases. He's got a really nice, like proper large lathe and all of the tool rests and everything to do things like that. I, on the other hand, just have a small lathe. It's a tabletop lathe, and I can make lots of stuff on there, but it's usually smaller. And so when it comes time to making something large like that, you really want more horses. I think he has a 230, like a 3 horsepower motor on his. I think it's like Grizzly is what he got. But anyway, it's super nice lathe that he has. And he does some amazing work. But I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to make it round. So I'll make it square. I'm going to make a box. That's what I'll do. I'll just make a small box, and that'll be nice and easy. So I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to make a box, what kind of box am I going to make? What kind of a joinery am I going to use? And how is the bottom going to fit in and everything else? So what I decided to do was do a square box. I'm going to do mitered corners. So I'll just I'll cut up 45s, you know, glue them up. And I think I'm going to do an inset bottom, but I'm going to have the bottom come down past the bottom of the box so that it creates a shadow line all the way around. So that, I think I'm going to do that, which kind of takes a little planning. And then I'm going to put in some splines for strength on the corners. So I'll do some splines. I think I'm going to make the box, well, I know I'm going to make the box out of cherry because I had some wider cherry to use. So I'm going to make it out of cherry. And then I will try to make the splines if I can find some. I think I've got some scrap oak, or not oak, scrap walnut. So I will do some walnut splines and maybe like a stripe around the entire thing. I'll do an inlay of a strip of walnut all the way around. You know, make it nice, because I could make just a box and say, here you go, but I don't want it to look like I threw a box together in my garage. So I'd like it to look nice. I'd like it to be something that she holds on to. And so I think that's where I'm going to start, is doing that. Now, let me grab my piece of wood here, because I've got a piece of wood here that I started milling up because the wood I had was, ooh, that's got a little knot in it. That's okay. The wood I had was thicker. It was like 7/8, almost an inch thick, of cherry. And this is a really pretty piece of cherry too. Very pretty. And but the problem was that I didn't want this thing to be like an inch thick piece of wood. That's just too thick to do anything with. It doesn't look nice. It starts to look bulky and not nice. So I thought, if I take it down in thickness, I think if I can get this down to about a 1/2 inch in thickness, that would be nice. So I started to do some milling on there. So what I did first of all was I cut this to 6 inches wide. It was a little wider. I mean, it was like just maybe 7. So I cut like an inch off of the width. And I did that this morning. And then that having it at 6 inches wide allowed me to run this through my jointer. My jointer has a width restriction of like 6 1/8 inches. So I can't really joint anything wider than that. So 6 inches works. And what that allowed me to do was make one flat side. So this side right here is completely flat. Then I took this side and I put it against the fence in the jointer. So if this is the fence, I put it against the fence and I ran it through this way, and that gives me one nice flat square edge. So right here, I've got a nice 90-degree edge right here. And now, and I'm also, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to make it quite this wide. So I'm going to trim some off of here, but I will use this as a reference against the fence when I start to do that. Now, the other thing is it's not going to be this tall, obviously, but what I'm going to do is cut sections out of here. I think I made this to make approximately 9-inch tall sections out of here. So I can, I figured, 9 inches. Well, this is 8 inches tall. So 9 inches puts it about that tall. Yeah, I figured, for a holder, that should be nice. And if it needs to be a little shorter or whatever, that's okay too. But I was just I don't have an exact measurement to use for this. That's kind of my ballpark. So that's what my thinking is. So where I'm at now is I've got my planer out, because what I did was I went ahead and started planing this because it was so thick. It required a lot of planing. I don't take a lot of wood off at a time when I plane, just really small bits. And let's get the calipers out and see where I'm at here. So right now, let me unlock the calipers. Right now we are at a thickness of 0.6 inches. So I have a 1/10 of an inch to remove from here to take it down to 1/2 inch. That 1/2 inch thickness I think will be fine to work with. It gives me enough corner area when I make those miter cuts that'll be a lot of glue surface there. I mean, miters are they're not the best joinery in the world, but they look nice. And if you do them right, and if you add some splines for some strength, they're good enough. I mean, if you knock this off the counter full of utensils, okay, it may not survive, but hopefully it won't come to that. So what I need to do now is take this back to the planer, and that's where we will pick things up. Once this is planed, I will go ahead and probably figure out how wide I want these pieces, and then we can take them over to the table saw. We can set a 45 degree and we can start making all of the joinery cuts for making those corners. So let's go over here. I think I got a camera set up for that. Right there, there's my planer. If you notice on my planer, it has like this white table sticking out the sides. And that is because this planer, well, first of all, this is a Harbor Freight planer. It's okay. Is it the best? No, but it does a pretty good job. I've had it for, I don't know, 3 years now. Like I said, I would love to, my dream goal is to replace this and the jointer with an all-in-one unit. So I would like a jointer slash planer combo that does 12 inches wide, whatever. When I got this, most of them that you buy, you'll see have like flip out tables. This does not. So I cut this piece of melamine to the exact bed width, and this provides in-feed and out-feed support when you're putting a board through, because you need in-feed and out-feed support, especially when you're doing longer boards. If these are really long boards, I actually have a roller stand that I'll put on the out-feed side to support the board as it's coming off. But this right here, for this length of board, I don't need an out-feed roller. All right, what I do need is I need my ears here, because, you know, these are loud things. I also have my dust collection hooked up. Let me see how full my dust bin is here before I can probably get through this without emptying it. Because like I said, we don't have much to go on here. Got about a tenth of an inch, which will be about 2 or 3 passes. Like I said, I take very minimal cuts on here when I do this. The other thing that you're going to get when you, you can't overcome this, but yeah, you can see it. So you see this little line right here? This little line right here is snipe. And what that does is it just, when the rollers grab this, it cuts a little deeper until it gets to the other side of the rollers, and then it levels out. Almost every single planer you use is going to give you some little level of snipe. I try really hard to minimize it, but you're going to get a little bit of snipe. It's just a fact, and you kind of need to plan for it when you're making your cuts. All right, let me grab the ears, and let's go ahead and mill this down. I've got my my calipers here, so we'll keep an eye on this thickness. But I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to turn on my vacuum, my dust, and we will get cranking. And this is plugged into the outlet that my computer's plugged in, so hopefully when I turn this on, I checked it earlier, hopefully this won't kill the feed. I guess we'll find out. All right, well, we nailed that one. So over here, let's see if we can see that there. I don't know if you can see that, but right about 5. So that is perfect for what we need. Let me set this over here. And yeah, so using the planer, using a planer is quite the the operation. It's noisy. It spits out a lot of sawdust. You create a lot of stuff with a joiner and a planer. Did I say joiner? I meant planer. The planer is especially loud. But I tell you what, if you're trying to get your wood down to thickness, there's no. I mean, that's a half an inch. Started with almost an inch thick. Takes a while, but it's well worth it. And like I said, I take small cuts. All right, the next thing I need to do is get my ruler here, and we're just going to measure this thing. Now, I haven't cut the ends of this off, so I will need to trim a little bit off of the ends to make them square. And let's see what I've got for length here is 37 inches. If I trim off a little bit, so here's the thing, my blade is going to be, it's got a kerf of 1/8 of an inch, and I'm right at 37 here. And if you figure I'm going to take 3 cuts out of this, oh, it's quite windy outside. I'm going to take three cuts out of this thing. So 1, 2, 3. That means I'm going to lose 3/8 of an inch just from the kerf, and that would leave me with basically 5/8. So let me, I'll tell you what, let's go over to the saw over here. Well, I have to get this set up actually. So hang on, let me grab my power cord because we're going to go over to the miter saw. Now I'm not cutting these edge miters on here. I'm only cutting the cross cuts on here. But it does give me very accurate cross cuts, and that's what I'm looking for right now. So let me grab the dust collection, because this is how we do in my shop. We just move from one place to the other, and we just move hoses and cords and whatnots. And I think it's going to storm outside. Looking. All right, so what I'm going to do is just take a very thin cut off of this edge right here, just to make sure it's square. And then we'll measure and see exactly how long we want this, how long do we want this to actually be for each side. So how tall is this container going to be? I need my ears is what I'm looking for. There we go. And I'm just going to put this hold down here just to keep this from tipping up. Keep it nice and square against the surface here. There we go. All right, and I need to turn on the, where did I move it to? Oh, right here, the dust collection. All right, let's cut this edge off. Okay, so that is basically a very clean, sharp 90-degree edge right here. Perfect. And we are going to cut 4 equal pieces out of this piece of wood. We're going to try to cut 4 equal pieces out of this piece of wood. And to do that, if I do 36, if I do 9, that should leave me enough. That should leave me enough with kerf to do this. So let me mark. I had my pencil setting here. Hang on a second. There it is. So let me mark off 9 inches off of this side. Now let me see, where is my, so I'm going to put this side against the fence. I'm going to do 9 inches this way. And then I will use the same piece that I cut as the measurement. Sorry, I keep looking outside because it's really windy out there. I'm glad I got my bike ride in yesterday and not today. All right, so let me mark this. And then we will cut this piece out. 9 inches doesn't look very tall. I think it's tall enough. And then I'll use this piece to measure the other pieces, and we should, like I said, get a nice even 9 even pieces out of this with just a little bit of waste left over. All righty. Lift that up. Let's get this lined up here. And get that right on the line. It's perfect. And pushed up against the fence. Okay, time to cut. All right. Never hurts to have a little cleanup. While I'm there with the vacuum, I'm going to put the hose back into the back of the table saw because we're going to probably go there next. So we've got now, there we go. I've got 4 even pieces here, and they will form the basis of the now, like I said, it looks big right now, but it's not going to be this big because these are going to get trimmed down, so they're not going to be this wide. Right now, they're about 6 inches, but we're not going to do 6 inches wide. In fact, we can go ahead and start trimming these for the miter cuts over at the table saw. And let's go ahead and set the table saw up for that. So I've got the saw is unplugged right now, so I can go ahead and make changes. The first thing I need to do is take this out because this is a zero clearance cut and I need to tip this blade. So I can't tip the blade with that in there. So I will take this, which is actually the stock plate that this comes with. And the reason I got that zero clearance is that there is easily, I don't know, what is this? Like 3/16 clearance on each side of the blade. And the problem with that is if you're cutting thin things or whatever, they can fall down inside there a lot. So that zero clearance really helps that out. What I do need to figure out is how wide do I want this to be? How wide should this be? Like I said, right now it's at 6 inches. I'm thinking somewhere around 5 inches might be good. 5 inches seems like the plan. So what I'm going to do, and I'm just winging this for the moment because I don't have any real dimensions to worry about. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 45-degree cuts right here. So this is going to get cut with a 45-degree bevel on the side. And I am going to use my fantabulous little Capri, I think Wixley makes one too. There's a bunch of companies that make one. Little digital angle gauge. And so it's like I have to zero it out. And then what I need to do is raise my blade up. Zero it out is what I said. Then I'll raise my blade up so that it's contacting the flat part of the blade. You don't want it touching the teeth because the teeth are actually set out from the actual flat of the blade. And if you don't raise it and go underneath the teeth, you're actually going to get almost a degree of bend on there. So let me go ahead and take this and I'm going to start tilting this table over to 45 degrees because what we're going to need is some nice 45s. And this will also allow me to trim these down to width as I do that. So the other thing I need to do is figure out, okay, which side of the board do I want to be, the inside or the outside? Like this one has a little knot right here, right? So there's a knot and I don't want this knot to be on the outside. So I will make sure that this board gets cut with that 45 degree with this face down. So you always want the face down. And it says 45 right there. It doesn't seem right. There's 45. Now, that should be 0. It's not. See, that says like 3. Because these are a little bit wide, so I need to make sure. 0. Get back on there. Yeah. That's what I thought. Because I can usually tell when I'm hitting that 45 because that's about the extent that I can tilt my table to. I can go just a little past it, but it requires a lot of effort on my part. And so I can usually tell if I'm at that or not. All right, so that's 45 right there. Now I'm not going to leave that blade set up that high either. It does not need to be. Basically, I'm going to lower it now so that it's just about a 1.5 over the top edge here, about like that. Then I'm going to trim. So on a 45, if I use my little thing here to draw my 45 out, actually let me go grab a pencil really quick to do this. And this is just so I can line the saw up. I don't really need to, but I want to see where this 45 needs to intersect here. So I'm just going to draw a 45 on here just so I can see the line of where I need to cut. I'm going to go slightly past that, and then all of them are going to get cut the same way at the same time. So I'm going to push this till I'm getting it right there, and that'll be good for this side. And then I need to make sure that I'm going to put all of my good sides, say good sides, put all of my good sides out. Yeah, like this side. And ooh, that's pretty, but that's pretty too. So we will go with, okay, these are all of my down sides now. So I'll cut these sides down. Got this set here. So now I need to give them some juice to the table here. So let me go grab the power. And get my remote over here. And I need my ears over here. All right. So this is what I go through every time. I move from tool to tool. Well, not every tool, but the ones I use most, I end up doing this a lot. That's okay. The other thing is I need to set this up. Now this will work. It'll pass right through there. Okay. I think we're good. Let's make some 45s. Let's make some bevel cuts, shall we? Okay, so this is kind of dangerous. Because this thing's at a 45, this is actually captured under the blade. I mean, it's not captured, but it's just resting under the blade right here. And at any point in time, if I tried to kick another piece, like I could say, okay, well, let me push a piece through here and do the next cut. If this catches in some way when I'm pushing it, it could throw this out and do damage. So I'm going to, if this piece doesn't clear out the back, where I can safely remove it, I will be stopping the saw every time, because that is that's a problem I don't need. So if I stop the saw to clear that, you'll know why. I'm not just continually feeding stuff through. And if you saw the one kicked out and it moved itself all the way out, which is cool. This one bounced in and stuff. So there's no way of telling. The cut's not going all the way through. So it's, yeah, it's just, you know what? Just be safe. That's all there is to it. Just be safe. All right, now, I now have 45-degree angles right here on all these. So if you can see, those are all like nice and bevel cut. I'm going to run that edge of the bevel against the fence when I make my next cut. And I need to figure out how wide do I want this to be on the inside and the outside. So on the outside, if I said 5 inches, I'm going to mark a 5-inch mark on here and set up this next cut. This one will be a little deeper into the, it'll be a little deeper into the wood. I gotta get more lead here. A little deeper into the wood, but it's going to give us an exterior. So that interior on a 45, let me measure this. The interior on the 45, here it is, because this is going to be this way. So that interior on the 45 measurement, and that's what also why I want to do this, is because I can measure that now. So inside, I would be getting a container that has an opening of 4 inches, which is about right, because 1/2 inch thick, 45 degree adds, you know, a 1/2 inch on either side. So I could make that a little wider and go 4.5 inches, I think. Yeah, I could do 4.5. I think I like 4.5. Let me make a mark here and then draw my 45, and then we'll set this cut up for that mark on the 45 here. And that gives me a 4.5 inch interior dimension. I think that would look nicer. Let me get this mark off of here so I don't get confused. All right, we're going to set this one up so that that cut intersects that line. So I'm just going to tap this over right there. All right, there is my line. Like I said, this doesn't have to be exact. I don't have a dimension I'm working from, so this is my guess at what I think would be a really good size. So I want to make sure I have all these boards facing the right way so I make the cut on the correct sides with this bevel now against the fence. And here we go. Ow! See that? Stupid. Well, hopefully you just witnessed the stupid, because that's what that was. I tried to kick this out with my thing here, which is fine. It's not going to get my hand in there, but it caught and it fired right into my leg. Didn't put a hole in me, but I could feel it. It didn't feel good. I'm going to tell you that. So yeah, that's stupid. That's, stupid. I just said, oh, I'm going to be safe here. And what do? I do the unsafe thing. Oh, Jeffrey. What is wrong with you sometimes? All right, here are our pieces all laid out, just like this. They look lovely. I need to now cut a slot in the bottom that I will use to make the base of this. And I need to figure out, well, how big is this going to be? And because I know the interior dimension, and as these are folding up, let me put it on here, probably be a little easier to show you. So as these are, probably what I'll do is I'll tape these on the back side and then glue them, and then use the glue as kind of a temporary clamp. But as these fold up, and they'll make 45s like this, ooh, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. And then this one will come over here and do the same thing. So this one would be right here. And this one would also fold up like this. There we go. So these will line up, hopefully. And so I need to figure out how much I can go into with a groove or a dado or whatever you want to call it into there. Let me get my little ruler here and just do a little quick measurement while these are standing here behaving themselves. Let me go to 10 because that's just going to give me a better. I don't want to go too deep, so I'm thinking if I go maybe 3/16 deep, and 1, 2, 3/16 deep for the base, and then the whole thing is going to have to be. So if I did 3/16, the inside is 4.5. 4.5. If I add 3/16 onto each side, I go and grab my calculator because this is where it comes in handy. All right. Let's see, go to my woodworking folder and grab my fraction calculator. Clear, and we're going to go 3/16 times 2 is 3/8. So I would need 4.5. So we're going to plus 4 1/2. So 4 7/8 is how large I need my piece to be. So I need a piece of wood now. 4 7/8 wide that I can cut into basically a square. Let's see what I have in the scrap pile over here. I have another piece of cherry here, and I'm hoping this is 5 inches, but I don't think it is. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so this is a 32nd under what I need. I'm going to say it's good. I'm going to say we're good. Because it's okay if there's a little room in there for expansion. I can live with that. So definitely can live with that. All right, well, we're going to need to cut a square. So let's lay these back down. I don't want to mess up the corners. That's the other thing. When you bevel these corners, you've got nice sharp edges. You want to be sure you don't mess up the corners because you want them to fit tightly when you're done. So I'm going to set these all down so the corners don't get messed up. And then we're going to measure this board here. And actually this is cool because this is a scrap because it had a big piece that chunked out of it here. There's a big piece of the, because of the way the cathedral grain was, a big piece just flipped out. But this side of the board is really nice. Let's be precise here. I think precision is good. So I'm going to loosen this. I'm going to measure the width of this right there. And I'm going to lock this in. And then I'm going to make that mark over here. If I could find my pencil. I'm going to make the same mark right here. So I know that that is that way. And then I will continue that across. And then I can cut that out on the saw over here, and that will give me a nice square piece of wood. And then what I will do is I will trim off around the edges and leave a 3/16 border going all the way around the sides, and that should give me about 1/8 of an inch thick or so. We'll adjust that. You'll see, it'll work. All right, I need to move my stuff again. Oh, this is why it would be really sweet to have multiple outlets that were on different circuits in my shop, just for the sake of not having to always wire everything. Dust collection, that's another story, but it still would be handy if I didn't have to do this every single time, especially on projects like this, because I find that I'm bouncing back and forth between what I'm doing. But that's okay. It's okay. We make it work. That's what we do. We make it work. And we get our ears. All right, let's cut this off square here, shall we? We measure this up. Get it right there. That looks good. I'm going to hold this down because there's not a lot of room for my fingers here, so. Make sure I'm in a good spot still. Yep, okay. Alrighty, that looks like a winner. Let's do it a quick measure here and just see how I did. This is the width and that. Okay, so I did really well. So very, very close. So Nice square piece right here. Now, we've got to go back to the table saw. It's just what we do. So let me hook everything back up, move everything, and then we're going to start figuring out how we want to do this, where we want to make these cuts, because my thought is I want this to stick out just a little past the bottom. I don't want it to be flush with the bottom. I want it to be raised up a little bit so that it kind of gives a shadow line under the box or under the container. What am I doing? Oh, I got to hook the air hose up. So I want it to stick out a little bit. So I got to figure out how much the cut needs to be here. The nice thing is I don't have to mill this down to any flatter. I can just use its full thickness, and then we can go with that. So let me look at this and think. So I'm going to take one of these boards. So I'm going to sit down for a minute. Let's do that. We'll take one of these boards and we'll look at it and see if this is going to stick out from the bottom here. How much is it going to stick out from the bottom? And I'm thinking maybe 1/4 of an inch. I like this. Let me see how I'm going to just measure this and see what that is for me. That is, yeah, it's about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. So at 1/4 of an inch, if this is 3/4 thick, which it is, so if this is 3/4 inch thick, then I need to make my first cut across here at 1/2 an inch up, right? So 1/2 an inch, where's my little line here that I just made? Yeah. So 1/2 an inch up right here, if this is the bottom, which actually it wouldn't be, it would be on this end. I want the cathedrals going up, so I need to make sure I do this on the correct side. But my little line here again, there we go. Yeah, so about right there. So about 1/2 an inch up. Let me get my little tool here, my little Craig T square jiggy measure it multi-mark thing. And we are going to mark this at 1/2 an inch. I'm going to hang this off the edge here because it's just easier. Okay, so there's my 1/2 an inch on there. And that's where I want the first cut to go. Now, how thick do I want this edge that's going to go into the groove? I need to figure out how thick I want that cut to be. The other thing is I'm going to have to cut 3/16 of an inch off of this. So really what I want to do is I want to cut this first because I have to figure out in here where this is going to go, how thick it's going to be. So I need to cut this down first. I just figured that out. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to be 1/2 an inch and I'm going to make a groove, which means I need this to be inside. So you know what? We will make 1/4 of an inch. I'm liking that. So we're going to make 1/4 of an inch cut all the way around the perimeter of this thing. And that, I mean, basically, that gives us 1/2 an inch of meat underneath this, but that's a lot of lip. 3/16 of an inch is what I needed to clear on each side. So I need this to be full width and I need this to be cleared out to 3/16 of an inch. So I need my blade 3/16 high. All right, let's go back over here. I kind of do this on the fly, as you can tell. It's like, oh my God, what the heck is he doing? This is what I do. It works out. Trust me, it does. It's all good. It's just I'm thinking as I go here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my saw blade. I don't need to make miter cuts anymore. So I'm going to take my saw blade. I'm going to put it on 0. I'm going to 0 out my table. 0. Oh, right there. Then I'm going to put this on the blade here. so that I can, there we go, and I'm going to raise it up. And now I will bring this back to 0 or 90 degrees actually. So it'll be perpendicular to the table. And that way I'll get really straight cuts. Wow, my face is huge on there. How did that happen? I'm on the wrong camera, that's how. I was like, wow, that's my big head. Sorry about that. That's probably much better for you than seeing my big head up close. All right, we're at close, 89.9. Come on, give me 90. There it is. So there's 90 degrees. All right, now I can take this off, remove this guard, put the other guard back on. And now we can lower this back down. Now we're gonna need this. I'm gonna do some test cuts. I'm gonna get a piece of scrap wood right here, and I'm just gonna do some test cuts to get the depth to 3/16, which is what we measured it out to be. So the first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna make a line on this. I'm gonna get my little market gauge here, and I'm gonna set that to 3/16 right there. And then I'm gonna make a line on my board here as I chase my pencil all over the place. I know, if I had more pencils, I could just leave them everywhere, right? I really should just go buy a whole bunch more and just leave them everywhere. What I'm gonna do is just make a line on here. There we go, so much easier. At 3/16. And then I can use that line to set the depth of the saw teeth. So that's way high. So I want to make sure that they do not intersect really much more than that. So that looks like it would be that. Now I'm going to make a cut on here too. I'm just going to bring this over and just cut some of this board. Just trim off enough that I can get a measurement and make sure that I'm getting a 3/16 cut on here. All right, so my hose is in, right? Yep, hose is in, power's up. Let me, thunder's rolling. Goodness, haven't heard thunder in a while. Guess we're gonna get some storage. I hope that doesn't mess anything up either. And I'm just gonna make a cut here just to cut a groove in this and see if I'm at the correct depth. Oh. All right. Now I can check the depth and see if I'm at 3/16. And that looks actually just a hair too tall. Just a hair tall. I'm gonna bring it down just a tiny bit. Yeah, just a tiny bit. I'm gonna lock that in. I'm gonna cut one more off the other side, and we'll see if I should be spot on with this one. All right, I just cut this side, and this one looks to be exactly 3/16. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to cut away. So I said this is going to be 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to make a pass right here. Well, let me, so confusing sometimes. I'm going to set this back to 1/4 of an inch. Right here. And I'm going to make a mark right here. A 1/4 inch. Yep, sure is. All right, this is where I want that groove to run all the way around this thing. So what I need to do is bring this over. And what I'm going to end up doing is passing this thing through here like this. And then I will cut the surplus off flat on the table. But from now, this is actually the best way to do this. All right. All right. So we're gonna basically just flip this thing 2, 3, 4 times and run it through here. That'll give us a 3/16 slot all the way in here at a 1/4 inch lip on here. All right, that's the plan. Let's see if it works. There's my groove. Okay. Now, this should be 3/16 deep, which it appears to be on all sides. Yay, 3/16. Oddly enough, I'm going to cut this side one more time. There we go. Yeah, I don't think I had it the right place. So now what I need to do is I need to cut it so that I'm cutting off this excess right here. So 3/16 here, I need to cut this 3/16 off. So I'm going to mark this to 3/16 again. I can actually just go a hair above it. Well, no, I want 3/16. So we're going to go 3/16. And that's where I need to trim this. Now that's going to be really tight here. I'm not sure. I might do this. Actually, I think I'm going to do it this way. So let me draw this line here and get this figured out to where I need to cut this. That's 3, not quite 3/16. There we go. And then I need to cut this side. Okay, I think I got it now. It's got to be this deep. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute. I need to cut off all this extra fat at the bottom here. So let me unlock this. It's not going to cut all the way through. It's just going to clear out this bit on the bottom here, and that's perfect right there. But then what I need to do is I need to figure out exactly where that needs to cut to be on the inside. So right here. So let's move this back and move this back. Right there should be it. I can make some adjustments on here if I need to. And I can use my block right here now to be nice and safe. So why does this not look square right there? It's kind of, oh, you know, I don't think I trimmed this edge off right here. I don't think this edge is exactly, hang on one second. We're going to do something really quick here. Just really quick. I'm just going to shave the slightest bit off of this piece here. I'm not even going to hook anything up. I'm just going to shave just a micro bit off of here. So you can see I'm coming over to the saw over here, and I'm just going to shave a tiny bit off of here because I think what I did not do was I don't think I actually trimmed this edge off here. So that's an issue. with getting this. I just want it to run straight and true. So I'm gonna just push it against here. All I did was just take a tiny little bit off of here, super tiny bit, but now it should fit square and flat against here, and it does, and it's gonna be a much safer push through. So let me go ahead and get the power again and switch you back to this camera. Okay. Once we get all this done, then it's gonna be glue time, so we'll be done for the most part for right now. All right, that looks to be perfect. Check that size again. Perfect. Okay. I say perfect. We'll see. There we go. Just like that. That's what we're looking at. So now, rotate. Oh, yeah. All right, sometimes things just kind of work out. We're not done yet. It could still go wrong. It could go horribly wrong. But for right now, I think we're in good shape. So let me show you what we got here. Is this piece right here. You can see there's now a lip that goes all the way around it. And that, in turn, will be the part that gets inserted into the base. So if I come back here now and reassemble this, I'm going to go back to this camera right here. If I reassemble this the way I had it before, just really quickly, to do 3 sides, well, first of all, this should fit perfectly inside of here, or actually, yeah, so this fits inside of here almost perfectly. So I'm going to have to cut a groove now that will accommodate this piece sliding in, and that, what did we say, was 1/4 of an inch up to make the first cut. That's very exciting. But if I put this all together, like if I do one here, and if I do one here, theoretically this bottom should fit pretty well inside there. I may have just messed it all up, but we'll see. So actually, is that right? Oh, there we go. Yeah. So, well, no. I may have messed it up. My goodness. All right, time to rethink this. Is this going to fit? This, okay, so my board, now I'm thinking this up and looking at it, I don't think my board is going to be large enough. I need a larger board. All that work and I need a larger board. But this is why I don't glue things up or change things. Here's what I'm going to do, because I want to really get these measurements right. I went through all that trouble. By the way, don't even do as I say. Just, you know what? I've got a nice wide board here. I'm going to cut it out of this one. We'll figure it out. There's a nice big wide piece of board, big piece of cherry there. We'll cut it out of that piece. Here's what I'm going to do. For right now, I'm going to take these and I'm going to lay them out and tape them so that I can get an accurate measurement, which means I have to do it like this and like this. This is not how I'm going to glue them, but it is how I'm just going to tape them together so that I can bring it all together as a finished piece, so to speak. I should have done this in the first place. I did not. I should have. So I can bring all these edges together. All right. Let's just run some tape across here. And that will allow me to fold this into a complete box, if you will. There's that. Do another one up top. Right here. Got good joints on here. They look pretty good. It's off a little bit, but not bad. Not bad. And then what I can do is lift the whole thing up and start to bend these miters together. If I did it right, they should all sort of fit together like this. And then I can wrap some tape around these edges here. Get this one done right here. Bring this edge together. And then I'll do one more down here just to make it solid. Push this in, get it in the right place. There we go. Okay. So more or less, there's our box, right? So there's our holder. What I need to do is figure out how wide this thing needs to be. That's probably what I should have done. I should have been writing this stuff down and figuring it out. And I was just kind of like spitballing it. Not great. So if I want to go 3/16 in, 1, 2, 3/16 in for a lip. So 3/16 there. I'm going to say 1/4 inch. I'm going to just go 1/4 inch in. That's more sturdy-ish. And so I'm looking at, on the 1/8 right there. So it looks like I'm looking at 5 1/8 wide. Is that right? Yeah. So it looks like 5 1/8 wide. I'm just going to measure from here, 5 1/8. To make that 1/4 inch there, make it 1/4 inch here. It'll be just a hair over 1/4 inch. But that, I mean, this isn't glued, but it'll be really close. So 5 1/8 inches square. This one, not that wide. It's 4 1/2. Stupid. I need 5 1/8. That being said, I kind of know what we need to do now, right? We sort of know. So I can go over here, chop this board off, take a piece out of it, and all right, what time is it? 12:17. Tell you what, give me just a minute. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. I will get this all together and we will push forward. Hang on just a couple minutes. All right, I'm back, and we're gonna make some correct cuts this time because that was just a major goof on my part, and I apologize for that. Now, the problem with this board is that it is not jointed on one side, which means I do not have a square edge. This thing is rough cut, and I need to get one good edge on it. So I'm going to take it over to the jointer, and we will joint some edges, which was this camera. But I need to move a couple things real quick. I need to move this out of the way and the stuff that's piled on the jointer, because that's just how I work. So stuff all piled up. All right, move. This is my flip top cart, by the way, so it won't fit all the way back in here, but it'll kind of go most of the way. That is allows me to have more than one tool in one place. This large dowel rod is just kind of a pain in my rear. There we go. All right, get these bases out of the way for right now. Now I have my surface here. I can come over. Hopefully this is not so long that I can't run it through like this. Perfect. Now, weirdly, this has been surfaced on two sides, but it was surfaced at the lumber yard, so I'm not sure how good that surfacing was. But what I want to do is just use one of those flat sides and make a square edge or a flat edge. So we're going to do that first. All right, for my purposes, I'm going to work off of this end of the board, so that is flat and clean enough for me. So we can take this over to the circular saw and make a cut. Now, I'm going to clean this edge off, because if you remember, I said, oh, well, I forgot to clean that one edge. I'm going to do that first thing on here. So I'm going to clean this edge off. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit off of this edge right here, just to give me a nice square edge to that edge I just jointed. And then we will make another cut. I need to get my ears here though, so let's do that. Okay, so I have a dusty, dirty board. All right, I have this board now that has a nice square 90-degree side there. Yep. So now I need to make 5 1/8 inches. That's a little higher than that one. That's kind of interesting. 5 1/8 inches. Should put me at about 1/4 of an inch in on each side. Okay. So I need 5 1/8. I guess I could just cut a 5 1/8 inch section off of here. That would work. Could take these off. It doesn't sound like I'm stifled. All right, so I'm going to mark 5 1/8 right there. I'm just checking this again just to be sure. 5 1/8. Yep. Okay, so 5 1/8 mark right here. I'm going to mark that right here with my ruler. So we're just going to cut this section right here, and then I'll go ahead and trim this down to 5 1/8 again to get it square. Back over we go. And we'll get this set up here. 5 1/8 right there. Get this locked down. Okay, let's do this. I'm not sure how, but when I went to go tighten the thing down, it shifted, so I had to recut that just a little bit. But we're good. All right, 5 1/8 now. We need to mark 5 1/8 this way. We'll cut that off, and then we should have our square board once again. Unless I've totally boned it up once again. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. All right, this should be 5 1/8 square, but let's check it and see, shall we? I'm just going to measure that again. 5 1/8. 5 1/8. Okay. Well, it looks like we're in good shape. Let's see if we can make it happen, shall we? I'm going to lock this arm in because I don't need that width now. And we just need that right there. Okay. Let's cut. Alrighty. Doing again. I now have a square board. If I put this on top of this, now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas. All right. Now we are cooking. Yes, indeed. Okay, I said we're going to make these 1/4 of an inch, right? 1/4 of an inch in. And so I have to rethink this whole process again of what we did. I'm going to move my stuff over while I'm thinking here, is that the first thing I did was cut that 1/4 inch groove, 1/4 inch. I need to cut it 1/4 inch down, right? Because we were 1/4 inch. That makes things actually a lot easier. I can just set my thing here to 1/4 inch, and we can just do everything at 1/4, and that should work. So let me turn the camera here. Not that one. Let's go to this one. There we go. Let's turn the camera and let's see what we can do here. I don't think anybody's talking to me. Let me just look and see if there's any comments here real quick. I apologize. But no, all quiet on the Western Front. It's just me in here. Just me. I'm the only one. So basically, I'm just talking to myself. So please come visit so it doesn't look like I'm just talking to myself. Okay, I need this to be 1/4 inch in from here. 1/4 inch. I need my pencil. Why do I always do this with the pencil thing? Always. This is why people wear, like, you know, aprons with little pockets that they can always just stick their pencil into them. And I don't have one of those. Well, I kind of do, but I don't know. Not really a fan. All right, so this is going to be my line. This is 1/4 inch right here. That's going to be my lip. I'm going to make that lip 1/4 inch deep. So I need to make another line here and then set my blade depth to 1/4 inch. Remember, we did that before. That hasn't changed. We still need to do that. I'm going to set this to 1/4 inch deep. I'm going to try to get it as close as I can, and we will measure it. That's a little high. That's very high. I think we're good here. I'm trying to pass the teeth. That's still a little high right there, I think. Right there looks good. Okay, let's do a cut here. Just taking the edge of this off and measure that I've got 1/4 inch. Okay, we're just gonna do it this way. Be nice and easy. I need to go back and get my remote and my hearing protection. Let's try this again, shall we? So, you know, it's probably why people make plans. So that you don't have to do these kind of things and make these mistakes. This is just a tiny bit. No, you know what? It's good. It's good. I'm going to leave it just a hair, just like a 64th deep. Now I need to go speaking of 1/4 inch, I'm going to need to go 1/4 inch deep on all this right here. So I'm going to set this up so that I can run this through the saw. So now I need to find this measurement right here. I don't need to find a measurement. I just need to move the saw over so that I can make this cut right here. And it definitely needs to be 1/4 inch right there. All right. There's my 1/4 inch. And now we can make these cuts, and I'll do all 4 sides just like I did the last time. And if you do everything right, your cuts should as you turn the corners, all of your cuts should line up and should match. And that is what happened here. So now what I'm going to do is move this over, bring this up so that it will cut that. Remember, we're going to get rid of that extra wood. I don't need it to go very far above it, but we do need to go there. And then I'm going to need this to be 1/4 of an inch. So we're going to basically make this cut right here. On all 4 sides again, and we're going to remove this extra piece of wood right here. So let me find where that's going to be. Be right there. Nope, too far. I can always nudge it over. I'd rather do it a little light than too far. So, all right, that looks to be good. Let's make a cut, make sure it's good, then we'll go all 4 sides. And that's good. Okay, smart Jeff is going to move these little sticks out of the way. Dumb Jeff would have just tried to cut through them. We're trying to be smart Jeff now. Okay, that's what we're looking for. This seems to be a little bit more appropriate. Now, theoretically, this should, my little box back over here. So this should drop right into the bottom here. Pretty close. If not, I might need to make some changes to it a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I might need to just shave it in just a hair more just to get it to fit. Because it's just a, I mean like a 64th off. But if I don't, I'd rather have a little too much room on this bottom because for wood expansion and stuff, if I get it so that it's not quite, these seams won't close up. And I need these seams to be tight when they close up. And that is just 64th. I'm going to nudge this over. I'm going to raise the teeth up and expand that little cutout area for myself. So first of all, the teeth are going to come all the way up to, well, they're pretty much right at the top of that cut there. I think that should be, tell you what, let's do this. I'm going to take I've got a board here. I can do a test cut, so that's fine. I just want to see how deep this is. I'm going to set this saw blade to the exact depth. I want to make sure it's at the exact depth it needs to be. Yeah. So I'm going to run this over, do another test cut, and then see if I need to adjust this. See if I need to adjust this. So real quick, let's do this. And put you back on the right camera. So I'm just going to do a test cut on this board right here. And then we'll make just a micro adjustment on how far that's cutting, but I want to get the depth right on this blade. So let's do this. Okay. So I need to increase the blade depth by 1/16 of an inch. Just about. Right there. Let's try that. We're going to recut this again. Right about there. Just come up just a liquid split. Fresh eggs. Okay. Alrighty. So now what I'm going to do is bring this back out to where it was cutting on here. Oh, so it was right. That's about where it was cutting. Yeah, right there, pretty much. And I'm going to just shave a hair off of all four sides. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. I mean, I really just needed to shave just a tiny bit off, but that should now fit like that. So it does fit. Sorry, you didn't get to see that, but it does fit. It fits right inside the box, just like this. It's not squeezing the joint out any, which is the way it should be. And I can sand this just a hair right around here. But now I need to measure this lip and where I need to have this lip fall. So kudos, this is bad. This is good. And that is, whoo, windy. Oh my gosh, windy out there. All right, let me find how I'm going to open this back up here. Just like this piece. And this piece right here. Oops, stop it. I want this to stay right there. Okay, and I'm just going to unfold this again for the moment. And then I need to cut these. So if I said this was the top, that's still the same. I can still do this. This is actually a thicker piece of wood, so I might actually go a little bit taller on this. Yep, I'm going to go a little taller on this one, which is, well, my pencil's always in the wrong spot. Okay, A little taller on this one. I'm thinking right here. Looks good. Because like I said, I just want a little bit of a reveal in here. So that's where it's going on the inside. I need to measure that. Let's measure it with the calipers here. 0. So that's the top cut. It's going to be there. So that's 3/4 of an inch. And let's see here. Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, your weather is changing fast. Really? I couldn't tell. All right. And then I will use this to gauge, like as I make a couple of extra passes, I will move it over and make sure that I'm getting this because this is thicker than 1/8 of an inch. And then my kerf is 1/8, so I'm going to have to move this slightly for these. So now I need to figure out how far up this is. I got that. And how we want to run these through. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it that way. So let me just undo the tape now from these. And this is my setup one. This one is the one that I have the lines on for the moment. Let's go back over to the saw, shall we? And let's set this up so that this cut should be right here. That should touch my fence. I'm sure this is locked down, and it is. So I want this cut to just touch my fence right there. So a little bit more right there. Right there. And it needs to be 1/4 of an inch deep. So we got to go back to that 1/4 of an inch thing where this, the depth of this cut, everything's in the wrong place at the wrong time. So the depth of this cut should be 1/4 of an inch on here. How thick should this be? Now I can loosen this and we'll just measure this to be that height. And if I set this up on my little depth thingy here, it'll be right there. It's actually a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, but that's okay because I had to trim it down a little bit. If you remember, I trimmed it down just a hair to fit in the box. So it's gonna be a little deeper than 1/4 of an inch, but that's okay. And we need to set this depth now. So I'm gonna drag this one over here and make a line on here because, hey, where's my pencil? Not where I am. Oh my gosh, this is getting old, isn't it? You're like, come on, man, just bring your pencil over. Stick it behind your ear. I mean, I should, right? All right, this needs to be, okay, wow. I just did that whole depth thing and now I can't see where my measurement is here. And I should have done it right here. It's not as wide. Not as wide. Okay, and it also shows up a little better. So I think we need to be right here. Let's try that and see if that gets us a... I'm just going to run it right through the middle of this. That's fine. It's fine. Trust me, it's fine. It'll work. It's perfect. So what we're going to do, turn all this stuff off. So what we're going to do is we are going to run this right here, pass it through there and make a groove. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to get the other pieces so that we can just take care of all of this at once and have them all facing the right way so we get the grooves in the right spot. Okay, get the glue off or the tape off of these. And make sure that we're going to be running the bottoms through here. We want the bottoms. What's going to be the bottom of the box? Right there. Okay, let's make our first groove. Drum roll. All right, so we've got the first groove cut in these. You can see every one of them has a groove cut in the bottom of them, right? So there's grooves in there. Now what we will do is that groove is not thick enough for this. So we still need to take about not quite a full blade depth off of here. So we're going to move this over just a tiny bit. And I'm going to see if I can do it from up top. But we need to move this over, so we're just going to take another little tiny bite out of this. Just a tiny bite out of it. I don't want to do too much. The other thing I could do is I could measure. If I put this here, I mean, I really could measure this. Let me just see what I've got for a measurement here. Hang on. Let me try something. I'm trying to be as exact here as I can, right? So I'm going to take this, I'm going to stick it up here, and this, and we're going to roll this out till this just touches that. And that's how much I should be offset now. Let me see what I got here. Okay, I'm still going to have a little bit to do here, I think, which is good. I'd rather sneak up on this. I don't want to go too far. So let's cut these again, make sure all my grooves are on this side. So when I feed through, I'm not cutting extra slots in the board because that would be bad. All right. Now, just to be certain, I'm just going to test fit this, and it is just a hair too big, which is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and then we'll go ahead and make that final adjustment. And that's, I think, how we'll go. All right, so all of these got that preliminary cut, and now we just need to make that final cut to get these to fit. And I believe this will make it work here, because if I'm looking at this, yeah, there's just a tiny bit of room that we have to move. So let's go ahead and make that last little adjustment here. Should be right there. Too much. So I always have to lock it down because it shifts sometimes just a hair when I lock it down. All right. Let's see what we get. Let's do one. All right, moment of truth here. There we go. It's not like a super tight fit, but that's okay. It can be a little loose, but it's pretty good right there. That's not bad. All right, let's go do the other ones. Okay, our grooves are cut. So we've got all the grooves cut in the bottom to accept the base. We've got the base here. We are going to bring this over, and I just want to do a quick check on this. So let's come back over to the main camera here, and let me put this out because they don't shift around on this table as much when I lay them here. All I'm going to do is check 3 of these really quickly. If I have this stacked in here and I put these together, because this is what I want to see, is together, is this going to be too tight or is it going to be enough? It's hard to tell. It looks like I'm just maybe a tiny bit wide on the wings, just a tiny bit wide on these wings. But then these pieces fit in here. So is it here that I'm catching or is it there? That's the tricky question part. Let me put this one on here. Maybe. Okay, so I am a little large, and that's okay because I can always take a little bit off. I just need to figure out where I'm large. Am I large on the bottom fit? Because that's kind of what I want. Like if you look and see, that's kind of hard to show you here, but I've got just a tiny bit of, let's see if I can rotate it here. So there's a little bit sticking out right here, which is what I wanted, which would create a little bit of a shadow line. But it looks like I need to trim just a hair more off of this so that it fits inside there nicely. So like I'm thinking like a 64th off of every side of this base right here. So let me do that. That's an easy thing to do here. Come back to this camera. That's an easy thing for me to do. I need to get this depth right again. So I'm going to bring this all the way out here. I'm going to figure this depth out again. That seems to be about right. And then I'm just going to bring this in. And I just, oh man, how much do I want to take off of here? Just like, just a tiny bit off of here? Or do I want to do it from this side? Let me do it from, more accurate if I do it from this side, I think. Okay. That might be a little too much. Maybe just a, that might be perfect. All right, let me give it a try. Roll the dice. Let's see what we get. I've got more wood. We can always try again. That's a little tall. A little high. Better. All right. So I took a little off the inside. Let's see if that helped me any, or if I need to shave a little off of the edges now. That actually looks pretty good right there. Although I'm hard to say, I look like I'm a little long on this side, but maybe not. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm still lengthwise. I think I've got to shave it down. I think I'm hitting. So I need to take a hair off of the sides. Let me try this. Try this again. Actually, I'm going to move this over to the actual hard tabletop because I don't want any inaccuracies from this soft spongy material here, because I really need to see what I'm getting now for measurements here. And like I said, this is just, it's all trial and error fit now. It's all trial and error. Okay. I've got, it's floating in there, but I've got just a hair much, I think. If I shave down, like I might get my plane out and just shave edges off of these things now. Come back up here. All right. Yep. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to leave this like this. I'm going to get my my plane out, and then I'm just going to shave a little bit off the edges here. These wings might be just a little long. Maybe it'll block plane this. If we can block plane it off here. My block plane needs sharpening. It is not the sharpest tool in the box right now. Okay. And it's actually not the correct way to do this one, but going against the grain. Okay. And then let's do a little bit off of the end grain here, which won't be fun to do, but we'll try to do this. Okay. And then we're going to take one more off of this side. Make sure we're going best as we can with the grain here. I'm just shaving just a tiny bit off of these things, so should. Sorry, I need to wax this. All right, let's see what that got us there. A little bit more finesse. Just took a hair off of those edges, because this is going to be a floating bottom. It's not going to be, doesn't need to touch. It's still a little tight, I believe. Still just a little tight. Yep, just a little bit. All right. Take these ears off. I really don't need them. All right, well, we'll just keep shaving a little bit off until we get there. And that is probably the easiest way to do this, so that we don't go overboard. And we just get what we need here. Oh, you're not even seeing this. There we go. Sorry about that. So I'm just basically moving this and just rotating it and just taking a couple of passes on each side. Flip this one around here. Just doing some passes on each side to get this as flat as I can. And what? Okay. Without going overboard. That's kind of, oh, shoot. We don't want to tear anything or tear any corners out here, which I just had a split, which is always a danger when you're doing end grain. All right, well, let me see what I got here. I might have to glue that. Arg. Yes, I just made argy noises. Arg. Let's see if that's going to be, that's square there. I think we're on board here. I think we got it. Because I need my corners to match. That's the big thing. And it looks like they're going to match. It's looking like they are. What's up? Okay, the one thing I think I need to do now, got that low enough. Still need to take a little off of one of these ends here. Just a tiny bit off of one of the ends. Let me flip this, check it this way. Because this is the kind of thing where it can be too loose, but you don't want it too tight, because too tight doesn't allow you to get that joint properly glued. And yeah, I'm just a hair. Just a hair. I've got enough room in there, so it's just that one area there. Just a hair. Still a hair too big. All right. All righty then. And I need to glue this back on, because if I don't glue this, it's just a little super glue in there, it'll be fine. But if I don't glue that, it'll chip off. So we don't want it to chip. All right, I'm gonna have to still, I think what I need to do is just take another shaving off of here and move these sides in just ever so slightly. Just ever so slightly. Let me drop a piece of glue in here, just a hint of glue in this thing real quick, if you don't mind. And then we can maybe just shave just a tiny bit off of two sides. We aren't going to do all four. We're just going to do two sides and see if that'll work. Hello. Goodness, that wind is up zipping today. It was windy yesterday too. I totally blew it on my bike ride yesterday. I mean, I didn't totally blow it, but what happened was I went on my bike ride and I checked out the wind and I was like, oh, it's blowing here. Well, what I didn't know was it was just kind of like swirling where I was. So I didn't really get the proper location or the proper direction of the actual wind, which way it was blowing. And this is being a pain. Oh, that's not what I wanted, but that's okay. There we go. Lots of glue in there. I'll hold this down. I'm gonna spray some activator on there. Oh, don't activate my fingers. And there we go. So we'll let this set for a minute. What do I have here? This is Star Bond, super fast thin, with a little tight bond accelerator. All the accelerators are the same, basically. Oh, keeps wanting to bond to my fingers. But that's actually pretty good right there. But anyway, so I just misjudged the wind. So basically, I thought I was going to ride with a into the headwind on the way out and then tailwind back up, because my last part of my ride is like a big uphill. And I got it completely wrong. So I went for my ride. I had a tailwind and I had a headwind all the way up the big hill, and I was just sucking wind. It was not great. But it all worked out. I got home and it was all good. All right, this is messy and I'll have to sand this before I glue this together, but you gotta love super glue. All right, like I said, I think I'm gonna just take this is still set up the way it should be. I'm gonna take two sides off of here and I'm just gonna nudge this to take like a 1/16 or less till it just hits that saw blade right there. Nope, that's too much. Right, I just want it to touch it. So let's take one off of there and then we'll rotate 90, take one off of there and see if that's gonna get me home. I'm hoping it will. I know you're not seeing anything. I'm not very good with the camera positions today because I'm changing so much. I apologize for that. I thought this was gonna be simpler than it was, but you know, sometimes the simple things that'll drive you crazy. Okay. Now, I just took a tiny bit off of two sides, and I'm going to mark the two sides that I did so that I don't forget which ones they were. So I did this one and this one, so I'm just putting a little mark on them so that I know which two I just adjusted. And then I'm going to bring this back over here and see if that made any difference to how this should fit. Now that needs to fit right there. And this needs to fit down here. I think I still need to do those other two sides. I think I need to do the other two sides because I'm not getting this exactly where I want it. Like I said, these corners, they're miters and they need to be exact. Otherwise it just isn't going to work. And I'm just still shy of getting this thing where it needs to be. So I need to trim down just a hair more. Now, it looks like I'm long on the side here. Like this side is long. It's sticking up past my miter corner, which is part of the problem. This part is not, so perhaps if I just, let me try something really quick here. I'm going to try to just take this edge off of here. So let me push this over. And I'm going to push this over and just take a tiny edge off of here and see if that might do it. Just like we did on the inside of those others. Let's see if I can just take a hair off of this. Too much, too much. And that's the thing is, you know, it's just sometimes when you want that perfect fit, you end up chasing your tail a lot. All right, let's try it. Just chasing the tail, but who knows? Let's see. Let's see what that got us here. Put this down here. It's over here. That might have gotten it. No, it's still tall right there, I think. I mean, I think it's close. I think it's closer. Let's see if I can get these, because I need all four of these corners to really be touching, and it's just, off ever so slightly. And I have room too, so I can, I think I have room here for me to just one more time take just another little sliver off of this end right here. And I'm going to mark it. That's the end I'm going to cut off. All right. Let's try this one last time, taking just a tiny bit off. Whew. Man. Man. I did not think this was going to be this much work, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll be appreciated. Up, trim. Right there. Lock it down. Figure with this side. Who knows? Who knows? The shadow knows. I'm not even old enough for that one. All right. Let's put it back in here. Fold this up here like this. Fold this one up here like this. But ooh, that's looking good. Looking good. All right. One more. Come on up here. Settle in. Show me your stuff. Sorry, not that stuff. Let's check out all of my corners are awesome. There we go. Okay. Guess what? We just got the corners to be awesome. There it is. So it's just a tiny bit proud. The corners are awesome. Yeah. Okay. Nice, and nice. I need to just grab a little bit of a coarse sandpaper here and clean that off. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of sanding on this part. And then that's cool. I'm thinking that I should probably just do the edges on this. Like give them just a slight bevel. Just a slight bevel to like a 45 so it doesn't chip. Just moving. Why isn't this not? Beveling it. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted. Just a little bevel. Now I'm kind of match that all the way around. Okay. Tiny bevel. Tiny bevels in the wood. As I just sang. I'm so sorry for that. Okay. Same thing here. You know what? Let me get this little puppy here. See if I can do it a little bit easier with this. There we go. There we go. That's nice. Now the end grain makes me nervous. Always makes me nervous when I do the end grain because it wants to tear like that. So I'm going to do that with this one. Just sharper. And then do this one last side here. And I'm going to sand those too, so they are a little bit nicer. Okay. Then I would get a piece of sandpaper here and just hit those like this. And we will make them all pretty. But the big thing is you want to sand those, if they're sharp corners, you want to sand them, like put a bevel in them or something so that they don't chip on you, because that is always a possibility. It's like when I did my workbench table here, all these table legs at the very bottom where they hit the floor, if you're scooting things around or whatever, if you have, the floor can actually catch that end of the grain, and as you slide across, it'll chip that wood out. But if you bevel it, you won't have that problem. So always a good idea to bevel your edges if you have like nice straight table legs and stuff. Always a good idea. Okay. That looks good. Okay. So those are nice and beveled now on the bottom. I mean, it's just a really small bevel. It's nothing huge. Just a really small bevel. But it's enough to keep them from chipping. All right. Now I'm going to do, if I'm going to glue this up, which I think I'm ready to glue up, that'll be my last step here. I'm going to go back to the tape, but I'm going to come over here to my table saw because it is a very flat surface and I want to really try to be as accurate as I can be with this. So let's go back over to the table saw and we will lower the saw blade here. Now that I've got all my cuts done, yay. Let's lower the saw blade and I'm just going to push this out of the way. And let's just kind of clean this off a little bit here. I left the top over there, the base over there. All right, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the tape back on here. I can also use the table here, like I could do this if I wanted to, and just use this as a guide to push against when I'm laying these out. I had a little chip there in the corner. That makes me a little sad, but that's okay. I'm trying to get all these edges to match, and I want to make sure I get all the bottom pieces right. And these all should match up pretty darn closely, like this. So those should all match up really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and start taping these things. And the tape is just a preliminary thing that I'm going to do, and it really get them squeezed in and get those joints tight. And like that, and that is going to help when you fold these over with the glue, that you're going to get almost like a clamping action here. You don't have to go crazy with it, but you really want those seams to match up as best as possible when you're doing this. So squeeze them in together and then put that tape across there. Now, if you want, you can seam tape like all the way up too, and I might do that. I haven't decided yet. I might do that. But this applies pressure to the entire base as you're squeezing that glue in there. Now this one's just off just a hair right there. There we go. Go. And here. But yeah, it just acts kind of like an extra clamping feature on your wood there when you're squeezing that glue in. And then if you want to, you can really make it work by doing it. You can do 3 across, or you can do the seam like this. Tape up the seam. I mean, there's no wrong way, I don't think, but Make sure I get that nice and flat there. Now these are not going to be super, super, super perfect, but that's okay. I'm going to probably round them just a little bit, you know, with some sandpaper. And so they're not going to be super sharp edges because, well, super sharp wood is not pleasurable. Okay. Now these can now be flipped this way, right? And I can get my bottom over here. Get your bottom over here. So here's the bottom. I'm not going to be gluing in the bottom. The bottom will be free floating. But these will flip up. When we're ready to roll, I'll be flipping all these up. Let me make sure everything fits nicely. And we will be squeezing this, the last piece right here. Woo, very nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the glue. And the other thing I want to get is my corner clamp here. I've got a couple of these things, so let me grab them and then you can see what I'm talking about. So they're band clamps, but they're made for doing corners. So you loosen this thing like this, and then I can pull out a whole bunch of extra here. And I loosen this and loosen this one. Actually, I can tighten this one. This one can be tight. And what you do is you just loosen these things. You put these on all four corners, and then you tighten it down. And I've got another one that works similar to that, which is a Bessie clamp for corners. It's a little dusty because I haven't used it in a while. But same general philosophy is that if I loosen this, it allows me to pull this out. Should be loose all the way. Come. Or is it this way? Oh, it's this way. My bad. So you pull this all the way out. Like I said, I haven't used them in a while. And then you line up all these corners. Let me get these kind of set up here. So there's little corner clamp things here. And they all fit on each corner. It'll make more sense when we're going. But yeah, so it's a nice way to just kind of apply more pressure on a box because that's kind of a hard thing to do. But let me get my glue and let me get a paper towel so we can clean up any extra. Because remember, the whole thing with glue, you don't want too much. Now, we are going to probably Friday, this will all be glued up and ready. And we will add splines. I'm not going to put this in yet, but we will be adding splines to these corners to improve their hold fastness, if you will, their ability to stay together. And so the splines should add some stability and rigidity to those corners. So it's not just depending on just the glue that is going to be on these miter joints. Just trying to get the extra glue squeezed out. I really need to get a new glue bottle here. This one's about had it. All right, so I'm going to start with the insides here. And I'm just going to put some glue in here. Now, I'm only going to glue one side because you don't need to glue every side. And I'm going to excuse me, spread this liberally. I really need to get something to drink here. I'm going to spread this around and cover the joint as best I can. Make sure that I get down below where the lid's going to be. But I don't really want any in the lid area because it's not going to get glued up. So just remember, we're keeping the glue out of the area down here. It's going to be free floating. And that just allows for some movement and stuff. It's not a big deal. I mean, I guess I could glue it in if I wanted to, but I don't think it's really necessary. Now, the only thing I will tell the recipient is that, you know, don't stick wet tools in here, wet kitchen appliances, because, you know, I'm probably going to put some finish in, but the inside is not finished, and we don't want to get any swelling or anything that might interfere with the joinery. So, dry your utensils before you put them away. All right, and I didn't get any on these last edges here. I will do that in just a moment. I'm just making sure I get it in all the little nooks and crannies here, right to the edges. So that's pretty good. And then make sure I get it off the edge here. I mean, if it comes out the inside, I don't really care because you're not going to see it. I don't want it on the outside, but if it goes a little bit of squeeze out on the inside, that's okay. But I'm just covering this as best I can. Like I said, you only need glue on one of the sides. You don't need to glue both sides of the joint, just one side. It's the same thing when I glue up a panel or when I'm gluing up for a cutting board or whatever. You just put glue on one side and you attach that to a dry side. And that should give you a nice seal. Now, like I said, you just want to make sure you've got good glue coverage so that your joint is going to be complete. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is stick this in here and then start rolling this up. I got sawdust that dropped in there. That's not good because that's going to mess up my joint. Dang it. Why did it do that? All right. Bring this one up. Bring this one over. There we go. So I want to get these corners, this last corner just perfect right here. It's in just a little bit. It needs to be out just a little bit, just like this. And I need to tape that up. And then we need to get some tension on this, some gluing pressure on these. So a little bit of gluing pressure on here. But that's how it'll sit, just like that. So there you can see, it's got a nice little shadow line underneath it because the base extends out just a hair underneath there, like maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. Kind of nice. All right, now let's add some more clampage here. So what I'm going to do is put these in each of the corners and start to tighten this up like so. Make sure I get all the corners covered here like this. And it might help if I actually get these, I'm going to try to raise it up a little bit. So I'm going to put some blocks under here just to kind of keep those clamps up until I get them where I want them. So just like this. There we go. Just to kind of keep them up in the air just a little bit, maybe this one too. And then I can pull it tight like this. And then what I do is once I pull it tight, I lock it down and then I push this, turn this little handle here. And what that does is it applies equilateral force and it's pulling and pushing and doing all these great things. So this is really tightly clamped now. And I can flip it if I want and do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to flip the whole thing upside down now. And that will make it easier for me to do this one from this direction. Now, let's see, I need one here. This one's a little harder. I like the other one's actually a little easier to use. Definitely easier to use. And then come around this way with this one. This way with this one. And like I said, I'm just using these pieces of wood here just to kind of give me a nice offset here. All right. And I can start putting this in. Because this one I don't like because it's like, it seems like it's set up for a, like I need to make it, I need to move this, hang on. Yeah, it just depends on your box size and it's got this little clip thing right here, which I'm not a fan of. But I have to move this one on this side to get this to really lock in place. So hang on, adjustments need to be made. It is what it is. There we go. Alrighty, so that one's on there. This one's on this corner. Corners, corners. Now I can pull the excess in like this. Oh, I lost my corner here. Get on your corner. There we go. Everybody's up on their sides here, nice and even. All right. So now I've got this all here. I can tighten this all up. And then I can start to tighten it up like this. All right. And there you go. Those are corner clamps. They're kind of a pain. This one, which is called a PowerTech, eBay, or not eBay, Amazon. You can get this on Amazon. Much better, I think, than the Bessie. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Bessie clamps, but this one seems like it's a little more overcomplicated than it needs to be. So I like the PowerTech. There's a ton of extra cable here too. So, or cable or strapping. So you could do big boxes with these as well. And in fact, it's probably easier with big boxes than it is with small boxes, just because they, yeah, I'm just gonna, there we go. Nice and tight. And there we go. All right, so that's part 1. Could have been like part 10. We did a lot of stuff. I had some goofs. But whenever you're doing one of those inset bottoms, that's kind of the thing with that, is that you really have to have those measurements really precise. And it sometimes, you know, you just end up chasing your tail. This was a complete just gaff on my part, that first one I did. That was just, I don't know what the heck I was thinking there. I was just completely mismeasured and just a gaff. But there's no comments, right? Nah, there's no comments. Nobody cares, man. Anyway, it's, let me just get out of there. There we go. All right. So it's just one of those things where you just have to just kind of, you know, give yourself some time. Don't put the pressure on. Get your measurements right. I wasn't really worried about this because some of this is just, it's scrap. I call it scrap wood. It's just extra boards I have around. I think the 1/2 inch thickness looks really nice. I like that. That's about a perfect thickness. And I think that'll look nice. Like I said, I will kind of fix those corners up, take the sharp edges off. We're going to put some splines in. I have my little spline maker right here. It's kind of a rough jig that I use on the table saw, which I should make a new one. That one's been around, and just usually I use that for frames and such. So I need a wide one that I can do for boxes and stuff, but it'll work for what I need. I'll do a spline on each end, and yeah, we'll put some splines in, and then like I said, I think I want to do like a decorative band of walnut or something around it, just to kind of spruce it up a little bit. So I could totally destroy it, or I could make it look really nice. So we'll find out. But anyway, until then, let's go ahead and call it a day, at least for the shop, for the live stream portion. I appreciate it if you did stop in, or if you're watching this at a later time, which I actually get people watching at later times. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please, you know, do all the social media things, like, follow, subscribe, whatever is appropriate for the platform you're on. And yeah, I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for the most part, at 11 o'clock at Eastern Time. I stream on twitch.tv/JRsWoodshop, Facebook.com/JRsWoodshop, and YouTube.com/JeffRevell. One day I might change that. But anyway, for right now, it is what it is. I want you all to have a wonderful rest of your day. It is Wednesday. Go enjoy your day. Hopefully your weather is looking a little bit nicer than mine. Get outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D. Be healthy. Wear your mask. Get your vaccine. Take care of each other. Look out for each other. We got to do those things. All right? So, see you here on Friday. Take care.